Good morning. Welcome to 4x8 Paper Stuff. This is Beth. We are in a creative mixed media art journal, a traveler's notebook size, following the words and wisdom of Mark Twain in his book, Following the Equator. Sit down, enjoy, and let's see where we go. Good morning. This is a jelly plate that I printed onto tissue paper. Now I had to tape it to a piece of copy paper. And that was a cleanup one that has a lot of gunk on the edges, which I'm kind of really loving this texture. I know I've already said this before, but it's a different color, so we're going to go with it. It's pinks. And today the chapter was, I wrote myself a note there yesterday. It is a chapter about going on the train. We're still on the train from Sydney to Melbourne, and we're in a little town called Wagga Wagga. Wagga dash Wagga. And he talks about the people. He talks about. I was trying to figure out something to put underneath it, and anyhow, he talks about the people. He talks about the economics of the town of Wagga Wagga, or that section of Australia. It really did not apply to our topics here. This is a piece of scrapbook paper. I'm trying to figure out something to put underneath this. And then I decided to rip off the edges. And I'm using water to soften up the fibers and pull them so that it's not torn, it's not cut looking or even regularly torn. And I remembered my ephemera box, so I got that out and went through it. And I really need to go back through this because I forget what's in here. There's so much good stuff in here, including this little booklet here, which I found some train tickets. Maybe not our era, but we're going to use them anyhow, and luggage tickets, and you're in cabin first class, and that kind of stuff. And I found that train picture, which is glorious, but it's not what I want for today's. But there is that little circle next to it, so I'm cutting out the circle. And those are goldish brown colors, sepia colors, and the jelly print is pinks, orchids, kind of. I'm not so sure, but I don't know what else to do. And I look through this packet, it's all written things. Um, Nothing was grabbing me. I have regular book pages I can use. Anyhow, all of this stuff was bought on Etsy from a lady named Wintertime Crafts in Florida, probably 6 months ago, maybe pre-COVID, PC, pre-COVID. Anyhow, and I know I have that Tim Holtz Sydney skyline, and I can Tim Holtz it, but most of those buildings do not apply to this generation of Australia. So, kind of regretting saying I might use it. Now, that is homemade paper, and it's not the right size, but I'm going to put it on the ends, and I've decided to just go half because I'm running out of paper. Excuse me. I'm going to be out of this journal before I know it, and we're not halfway through the book yet, not even. So, I'm trying to put all these elements and bits together on one half, and frustrated, indecisive, nothing's grabbing me. Um, Same old, same old. I don't know what it is with this journal. Well, I do know what it is. But anyhow, so I'm adding these bits of ephemera, and I'm gonna put the date on it and put Wagga Wagga, because really there's nothing about Wagga Wagga into his writings, and call it a day. And well, if you'll notice the length of the video, that's not the end of the day. Just wasn't hitting me. I'm thinking and I'm sitting and I'm stewing, and I'm like, okay. So guess what? I did. Same thing I did the other day. The next morning, as I'm editing, even going through all that stuff, there's some beautiful things in here. I'm like, okay, let's try another experiment. Let's just try something. I love that feather page. So yeah, there's beautiful things in here, and I'm thinking, what can I do? I blame Nick Bantock for this. That book that I bought is really, really messing with me. So then I think, okay, let's just get something soak it. That's already coffee stained. Just copy paper, soak it, and drop some color on it from your watercolors, and see what happens. And stick it outside, and let Mother Nature help you along. Well, I went down a path, a rabbit hole. And welcome to Very Indecisive Beth. I think I'm going to do a page over again. This is a bunch of ephemera from that ephemera pack. I have had this about almost a year, maybe. I've used it a couple times. It came in a gorgeous envelope. I think this one. From an Etsy shop. I don't remember who. I do too. Wintertime. Wintertime Crafts on Etsy. And she's semi-local, United States. So I've used it a lot. Not a lot. I think I've ordered from her twice. She's quick. And all of that. And she's locally sourced, semi-locally sourced. Had a gigantic, big mess. So today we had thunderstorms. And they started early today, but it was super hot and muggy today. Worse than normal August in South Carolina. Remember how bad it is here? Comparable to Australia. And now I know why it was so muggy early this morning is because the thunderstorm started earlier. They usually start around 2 or 3. Go, for a little while, 4 or 5. If it's a real bad storm, it'll act differently, but that's the norm. And I was outside painting, of course. That's why it started early. And I painted. I'm trying to do tea dyeing, coffee dyeing. Of course, I'm trying to go against the grain. No art pun intended. I don't want to follow the directions. I'm trying to do it differently and or rush it. There's people that bake them. There's people that do all kinds of different things. I'm trying to do it differently. I'm trying to do stainless steel and put in washers and things. And my husband informed me that those won't rust. Or whichever ones I'm using won't rust. They're anti-rusting. I'm like, well, I don't want those kind. Well, he said, nobody has the other kind anymore. I'm like, well, that's the kind I want. Anyhow, I just decided to use a good old Woodlands Prima paint tray and paint on copy paper, soak it, and then just blob it and move the washers around. That worked a good bit. That to me is luscious. It wrinkled, and then it started thundering. I'm like, okay, well, there's the dog. That's not going to last very long. Here's one you can semi-see the washer. So I brought him inside, and I set out some cookie trays and put the paper on top of it, and just kind of washed in the woodland colors and did puddles of water, and then put the washers there and kind of went around the edge of the washers with paint. And it's achieving a better result, that's for sure. I'm just going to have to let him bark, I guess. You can really see where it didn't have enough water, so it didn't bleed better. Oh, and then I was painting on paper towels, and they were saturated, so then I would take a piece of copy paper, this is how I did this one, and lay it on top and push it into the paper towel, and I was getting in the imprints of the paper towel along with the color. Sort of like using a soaking wet paper towel with paint in it as a jelly plate. Like that result. So I was playing with all of this, and then I decided to saturate the paper towels and do the same technique on the paper towels. Fantastic. Fantastic. I've split them apart so they're real thin. They're 2-ply. The only problem is the current brand of paper towels we have is Bounty, and it has their logo on it. The audacity of those people to put their logo on my artwork. Here's green ones and a little bit of red. Anyhow, so then I decided to photocopy the paper towel onto regular paper. This is my favorite. It's very subtle. I think I had already coffee stained it, which gives me a really, really very faint layer of color. And then I took, while it was still wet from the coffee, I took my paints and just dabbed paper color into it. I love that one right there. And so then I ran the photocopy of the paper towel. No, I put the paper towel on the photocopier and ran a photocopy back through of this, or no, I guess it was one of these that had maybe this one. I had a red paper towel, photocopied it, took that paper then, the result, took that paper, put it in the paper tray, and ran it again with this one, and got this. So there's two copies of paper towels on here. I'm liking all that. And then I took another piece of photocopied paper towel, a very light one, I think. One of these. And I put a bunch of those ephemera pieces on the copier and ran it through again. That's giving me something that I want to use. I'm so indecisive. I don't know if it's because of this dog, and I know I keep saying this and harping on this, but he's interfering with my artwork. Nobody interferes with my artwork. Not even my husband. When you have a spat with your husband, that doesn't even interfere. The blankety blank dog is interfering. His ability to not tell me what's happening and how he feels, because he is a dog and I'm trying to read him from what I know of his personality, is driving me insane. Driving the artwork out of me. So I made this about Wagga Wagga. And you know what? It's okay. And I have the video on it, and it's okay. But I think it needs a little something, something. So I think I'm just going to put this, with all these bits of ephemera photocopied on it, on this side. And maybe a little bit of the purple. I have enough left. I can put a bit of it on there. Let's see if I don't like that. Maybe if I ignore him, he'll calm down. He has to follow us. He's real slow. This is, again, my dog. Sorry. He's real slow. Almost, but he's not eating very well. So, I mean, we were convinced yesterday, Tuesday. Yeah, Wednesday or Tuesday, I can't remember, that we were going to put him to sleep. We don't want him to exist on pills. If he was younger, it might be a different story. The money's not the thing. The money is crazy. I mean, because just 2 pills today were $120 for him. We've already had 5 other pills ordered. And I don't want my dog subsiding on pills. My parents didn't want it. I don't want it. I don't want my dog to do it either. It would be different if he was 10, 13 probably even, but he's 16 and a half. And to me, this is not fair to do to this dog. So we're really, yesterday I was convinced we were going to have him put to sleep. Cried all the way to the vet. Gonna probably cry right now, knowing that he's had a great life.
This happens to everything that lives. Eventually it comes to an end. That's okay. I'm okay with that. I understand. And then my husband says, no, let's do a couple more tests. I'm like, oh God. I was like, okay. I said, when do we stop? When do we consider this enough on his poor little body? And all of that indecisiveness and back and forth, and emotional, up and down, upheaval. Not good for my little psyche. It's not good for my art. I don't know. This water really needs to be changed, but I don't want it torn. A precise cut edge. I want a torn edge. I know it's a dog. Some people are like, really? It's a dog. I know, but I mean, we've been married for 25 years. He's been in our life, almost our entire married life. I mean, minus 9 years. More of our married life than not of our married life. More of our life together than not. And it's like, seriously? I mean, even, yeah, he's been together. He's been with us more than we have not had him. And how lucky are we to have a dog that lived for 16 years? Yeah. But, he looks at me with these sorrowful eyes, but then as soon as you walk in the room, his tail starts wagging, and he kind of will do a little bit of a hop, skip, and a jump down the hill. You take him outside, but I mean, he's super slow. Super, super slow. You know what? I think I'm just going to rip a little bit because I don't want this whole sheet. He's super slow. I don't know if he's in pain. The doctor says he's not. They seem to think he's acting, great for a 16-year-old. I'm like, well, you don't know this dog normally. This is not him. He's really not eating. He's subsiding on treats, which I'm not a fan of. I'm a fan of giving him treats, but not a fan of him, existing on them. We have 3 different medicines for nausea. I'm not sure if I should give him one of those and he'll eat more, because I don't know if he's nausea. He's not throwing up. I'm whining and whining and whining, and it's causing me, every second is like, is he breathing? I kind of, as horrible as this sounds, wish he would just kind of, go to sleep and not wake up. It would be painless for him. We have to call her back again tomorrow, the vet, the doctor, the internal medicine vet, and all of that entails. And she's going to decide, we'll go back on Tuesday, but she's going to, I mean, she's pretty good. I think she's a little condescending to us. That's okay. If she needs to do that to make herself a good doctor, okay. I couldn't have made it through vet school 1 minute. So maybe she does have superpowers. I don't know. Okay. I'm okay with it now. I'm not changing it. I'm adding to it. This is just going to have to be 4 volumes. Oh my gosh. Okay, I looked up Wagga Wagga. There is actually a South Wagga Wagga and I think East Wagga Wagga. Sydney is, okay, say this is Australia. Sydney's over here. Melbourne's over here. And it's about halfway in between inland. It's in New South Wales still, not in Victoria. But it's a real town. It's along a river, which I can't pronounce. But, oh, man, that looks good. So there's 3 layers on here. There's a paper towel layer with watercolor. There is an ephemera layer on top of that. And now there's a jelly plate printed on tissue paper on top of that. And that I can handle. That works for me. Still very damp. I need to take these paintbrushes out of here. This water needs to be changed. Oh, I love that. And all of these golds and browns kind of blend with the paper towel layers. And the purples blend with the purple sections of these ephemera pieces. okay. Works for me. See, you can see I had paper towel paint all over me. Now my next trick, for my next trick, I'm going to try to print one of these Japanese. Did I really say I wasn't going to photocopy stuff, Kurtie? Hey, what's this? Circles. Yep, Zen circles might enter into this too. I think too his chapters right now are not, they're weird. This is supposed to be a weird book. Go figure. Full of political and social economic of the times essays. And the travel part is very little of it. But that's the part I'm focusing on. So the weird bits at some points take over, and I'm in a weird bit. And that's not helping. Because I feel like, I'm not going to talk about all that stuff. And so therefore, I have Wagga Wagga is here. He went there. That's it to work off of. Which is okay. He didn't know I was going to do this 100 years later. More than 100 years. Oh my goodness, that's pretty. I mean, there are 2 layers on one layer, but then this other layer on top of it. And being on the tissue paper, it really gives it a fog, almost disappearing element. Do I sound like I know what I'm talking about? Don't be mistaken. I do not know what I'm talking about. Anyhow, that works for me. That's almost as good as that one. This is still my favorite. Although, yeah, so pretty. Okay. Oh, so I want to photocopy this onto the tissue paper and see how that looks. I don't know what this says. It's supposed to be Japanese ledger stuff. Okay. So I think when I edit this, I'm going to add it to yesterday's video. I was going to replace it. But now I got to go edit it so I can put it up. It's going to take me twice as long if I keep redoing everything and adding to extra videos to what's already there. Or starting over. It's just weird. Wow. I wish you could see this in real life. Everybody come over and look. I think that's going to give it a glare. Hold on, I'm going to move the camera. There. That's so pretty. Okay. See you in Melbourne, maybe. I don't know yet. On the way to Melbourne for sure.